Just ahead on CTV News.
The clock is ticking for Maryland lawmakers to pass bills before the Sine Die deadline. I'm Katara Jones in Annapolis. I'll have all those details coming up on CTV News.
And lawmakers announce a new act aimed at helping Marylanders manage high utility costs.
In Maryland, Democrats and Republicans have come together to say enough. Enough with the gaslighting.
Plus, temps are warming up this week. Hear what experts are warning ahead of the high temps. These stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening. This is CTV News for April 13th. I'm Jonathan Hunter.
And I'm Brandon Williams. Thank you for joining us.
Now returning to our top story, Maryland lawmakers are racing against the clock to get hundreds of bills passed before the crucial deadline at midnight.
That's right, and CTV's Katara Jones is standing by outside the State House with everything you need to know. Katara?
That's right. State lawmakers in both the House and Senate chamber are working to get the final group of bills passed for this 2026 legislative session. Now, when the Maryland General Assembly began back in January, there were more than 2,600 bills that were introduced. As of Saturday, only 548 bills have passed both chambers. Right now, inside both chambers, lawmakers are asking questions and getting clarification from other lawmakers on the bills before members vote on the measure. In some cases, lawmakers say they simply are not voting in favor of the bill because they do not agree with the legislation. That's really the political process here in Annapolis. Sometimes lawmakers agree on bills and other times they do not. The Maryland General Assembly has until 11:59 tonight to get these bills passed and to the governor's desk for his signature. Katara Jones, CTV News.
Okay, thank you, Katara. Make sure you tune into CTV News tomorrow as we will have interviews with state lawmakers at the conclusion of Sine Die.
And on this last day of this legislative session, lawmakers say they reached an agreement on the Utility Relief Act, which is aimed at saving Marylanders more money on their energy bills. It's no secret, Marylanders are paying significantly more for their energy bills, but Governor Wes Moore says help is on the way.
We are keeping more money in the pockets of Marylanders. Actions that are being taken today will save hundreds of dollars for Maryland's families.
The Utility Relief Act passed in both the House and the Senate after a lot of discussion. The bill allocates $100 million from the Strategic Energy Investment Fund to offset utility fees. The legislation prohibits utility companies from adding additional charges onto the customer.
The bill also requires utilities to base their rates on their actual historic cost, not on forecast of future cost.
It also modernizes the state's energy grid and requires data centers to pay their fair share.
Data centers will pay for the grid upgrades that they need and not the people of the state of Maryland.
But Republicans say the bill doesn't do enough as Marylanders are estimated to save $150 a year, which is roughly $12.50 a month.
They've taken 90 days to push through a policy that does very little for ratepayers. They should be ashamed of themselves, actually.
Delegate Jason Buckles says Republicans proposed a lot of good ideas that would have provided even more savings.
A lot of things that my Senate Republican colleagues were actually successful in getting put into the bill and might have made some of us think, okay, maybe we should reconsider our thoughts on it, was taken out. It was pretty obvious that unless you were a green energy activist, your ideas were not welcome in the final product of this bill.
Republicans also argue the bill would likely deter data centers from coming to the county and prevent more economic development in the state.
County police need your help finding a missing teen. On your screen is 16-year-old Jemiah Doherty. She was last seen on Saturday, April 4th at the 4400 block of Rena Road in Suitland. Doherty was last seen wearing a white crop top and black pants. She is 5 feet tall and weighs 152 pounds. Doherty's mom shares a message on Facebook asking for the community's help.
My daughter's been missing for 7 days. I need help. I need the community's help. Be on the lookout. If you see something, say something. If you don't, you're part of the problem. It's been too long. I need her home. I need the community. I need the village that's supposed to be behind the family to come out and be the village. Please help.
Anyone with any information on Jemiah's whereabouts are asked to call the missing person unit at 301-772-8970.
Well, the DMV area will be experiencing summer-like temperatures and a possible heat wave. Temperatures are expected to hit the 90s on Wednesday and Thursday, elevating wildfire threats throughout the region. Some tips to keep you safe during the heat wave include staying hydrated, taking breaks in the shade or AC, seeking cooling stations in the county, and wear light-colored clothing or loose-fitted clothing outdoors.
Meantime, air conditioning has been hard to come by in dorms and other campus buildings at the University of Maryland. As a result, students have shared their concerns about the lack of AC amid the warmer spring temperatures. On Friday, on-campus residents were told that air conditioning would be running in all dorms by April 14th. Despite that, some students are struggling to keep cool in their dorms and classes before the air conditioning is switched on across all campus buildings. They say it's a real inconvenience.
Pretty much this whole semester. They also were very late to transfer to heating last semester too. They just take a while to transition, in my opinion at least.
And whenever I moved in the first 2 weeks, I couldn't sleep because it was at least 90 every single night. And because of that, we slept on top of our beds, and we had 3 fans going, and the windows were always open.
They spoke about how it was getting difficult for them to be in their dorms or to be in buildings. They'd have class, there'd be a lot of overheating, they'd be sweating a lot.
And according to the university, students also have access to air-conditioned lounges.
You're watching CTV News. I'm Jonathan Hunter.
And I'm Brandon Williams. Still to come, are you in the market for a new car, Jonathan?
Well, we have to see. After the break, find out the average price to purchase this year and if an electric option will give you a better bang for your buck. Stay with us, everyone.
Everyone has a ritual. That small thing to keep us focused. A habit we never skip. To clear our minds and elevate our performance. But what do you do to keep your head in the game? To drown out the self-doubt and support your mental health. Maybe you surround yourself with positivity. Or you need to center yourself. Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body. It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Discover the resources you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
My husband is a veteran, and he was injured in the line of duty.
I was blown up.
We use humor to cope.
It happened while I was deployed to Iraq. An IED detonated 3 feet from my face.
It was bad.
I remember thinking, who's going to take care of my wife and daughter?
We took care of each other, with a lot of help from DAV.
When America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I don't know what we would have done without them.
DAV was the voice that we didn't have.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans like Jason get the life-changing support and benefits they've earned so they can achieve more victories.
It wasn't easy, but he never gave up.
My victory is knowing my disability doesn't define me.
He's an inspiration.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Welcome back. Good news for train riders. Construction on Maryland's Purple Line light rail system is now 90% complete. This is a 16-mile rail project which is led by the Maryland Transit Administration. The goal is to connect Prince George's and Montgomery counties. Crews have already begun testing trains along parts of that route that include a run through the University of Maryland campus. Once it's complete, the train will connect Bethesda to New Carrollton with 21 stations. Residents will have a chance to get more in-depth updates during some virtual community meetings from April 14th through the 28th.
A major boost for Maryland's public universities tonight. The University System of Maryland is getting an additional $18.1 million increase under the state's newly enacted fiscal 2027 budget. That brings the system's total funding to just under $8 billion, with state leaders calling it a key investment in students and the workforce. University leaders say the funding will help support students and staff as the system navigates ongoing financial pressure.
And calling all Bowie State Bulldogs, the university just announced their commencement speaker, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. Dr. Dyson is a renowned scholar, author, and activist and will deliver the keynote address for Bowie State's class of 2026. He is currently a professor of African American Studies at Vanderbilt University and is an award-winning author of more than 25 books. The spring 2026 commencement ceremony is scheduled for Friday, May 22nd at Bowie State's Bulldog Stadium. And in business news, gas prices continue to spike as the war in Iran intensifies. Gas prices jumped 21.2% in March, and as of Friday, people were paying $4.15 on average for a gallon of regular gas nationwide, according to AAA. The average price for diesel in the U.S. is $5.68 per gallon, and prior to the war, a gallon of regular had not reached $3 all year.
Well, if you're in the market for a set of new wheels, you may want to listen up. Kelley Blue Book reports the average price of a new car could cost you close to $50,000. That's a 3.5 year-to-year increase. The average price for compact cars only rose to 1.1% at about $27,000 per car. A mid-size SUV and full-size pickup trucks increased the highest at 2.8%, making the average price for a mid-size SUV almost $50,000 and full-size pickups nearly $60,000. One segment where prices fell was electric vehicles, which slid 2.8%. However, they could still be notably higher, with an average price tag averaging $54,000. And your next flight may cost more even before you board. Delta Airlines is raising checked bag prices. Most travelers pay $45 for a first bag, $55 for a second, and $200 for a third. The increase follows similar moves by United Airlines and JetBlue. Airlines say rising jet fuel costs linked to instability in the Middle East are driving the hikes. Bottom line, unless you qualify for free bags, your next trip could cost more before you even take off.
And if you're one of the millions of people paying for streaming services, you may have noticed a few price increases. Netflix, YouTube Premium, and Paramount Plus were just some of the services that have raised subscription prices this year. While each price hike may only be a few dollars, if you have multiple subscriptions, the monthly bills can quickly add up. Music provider Spotify, Amazon Prime, and anime streamer Crunchyroll also increased this year. And still to come on CTV News, we continue our exclusive one-on-one candidate interviews.
That's right. And after the break, we are joined by a candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives. Stay with us, everyone.
For the curiosity that compels us to look closer, dig deeper, reach further. For the passion to explore, to see, to know. That drives us to nurture connections, deepen empathy, and expand horizons. For the joy of discovery right now, and all the endless potential of what comes next. This is what we strive for.
Awesome.
Since 1888, the National Geographic Society has championed generations of explorers to ask questions, share stories, and open minds.
Wow.
And today, our mission is more urgent, dynamic, and vital than ever. Because in our hearts, we believe protecting the vibrancy of our world isn't just possible, it's essential. And we believe there's always another wonder for us to go and find. Will you join us? National Geographic Society. Wonder awaits.
You've worked hard. Long days. Year after year. Decade after decade. You've seen a lot of things. Enjoyed the good times. And weathered the tough times. You've earned a life that you can call your own, alongside the people you love the most. Retirement worries shouldn't get in the way. But many Americans like you are finding that retiring on a fixed income is harder than they expected. Fortunately, there are thousands of benefits programs that can help. Visit benefitscheckup.org to see if you're among the millions of people eligible for thousands of dollars in benefits to help you age well, so you can focus on what's really important. Benefits Checkup. You've earned this.
We are now less than 3 months away from the 2026 primary elections, and in the next coming weeks, CTV News will bring you exclusive interviews with the candidates.
And joining us today is a candidate from Maryland's Congressional District 4 seat, Ms. Jakia Johnson. And Ms. Johnson, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to get right into it. Ms. Johnson, you describe yourself as an activist, and you also describe yourself as a nonprofit leader. Why do you think it was time for you to run for Congress?
Yeah, I think I made this decision because I felt like our leaders were not meeting the moment. We found ourselves in this moment where we are facing really unprecedented times, and our leadership is acting timid. They're waiting for permission to act. We live in the second most Democratic district in the entire country. We should be on the front lines of every single fight. We have both that right and responsibility, and I didn't feel like we were seeing that, and so I thought it was time for some new leadership.
One of the things you're fighting for is federal labor policy. Why is that so important to you?
I think labor is the backbone of everything this country stands for. I think for a long time now we've exploited labor, and it hasn't benefited us as a people. I am a proud former SEIU member. I served as a shop steward and got the opportunity to work with my coworkers to really make sure that they were our employer was valuing our labor properly. I think we'd be much better off as a country if those same principles were applied across the board.
And you talked about navigating a broken healthcare system. If you were elected to Congress, what are 3 things you would like to see with healthcare?
Top priority is absolutely a universal healthcare system so that everybody has access to the healthcare they need, no matter what their employment status is, no matter their income or anything like that. I also think that we have to start prioritizing the full gamut of healthcare, including mental health, including reproductive health, dental and vision, all those things that have kind of been left out for so long. And then also making sure that we're taking really good care of our disability communities. I think that our healthcare system has neglected them for a really long time.
What are some steps that you would take to make sure that the health of residents stays a top priority?
Working with members of Congress to make sure that's one of the things that we focus on first and foremost. I think that because so many things are happening, so many things have been happening, that healthcare is kind of falling to the wayside. But it's one of the most important things that we can do, not just for people, but also for the economy in this country. We spend a lot of money on healthcare, and it's not preventative healthcare, it's reactive healthcare. If we could do a better job of making sure people have access to the healthcare they need before they need it, then we would be better off as a people, and we would be economically better off.
And this week is known nationally as it is known as Black Maternal Health Week, and you are a mom yourself. If you were elected to Congress, what would you like to see to help other mothers like yourself?
I think we should be making reproductive justice a priority. I think for a long time we focused on just the right to reproductive freedom, which is great. We need the right, but that right doesn't necessarily equal access, and it doesn't equal equity. I think that we know more than anyone here in Prince George's County how having the right people in the right place really affects maternal mortality. Black women face higher maternal mortality rates than anyone else in the world. And we know that those kind of things tend to fare better for us when we have Black women in hospitals, Black women in birthing centers who are working with Black mothers. And so I would love to see us focus more on putting more Black women in those positions so that we can lower those rates.
What are you hearing from some of the Black mothers that you have been having conversations with during your campaign?
Yeah, I think one of the things we've heard most is that they are concerned about affordability. They're concerned about being able to send their children to safe schools. They're concerned about just the world that they're raising children in, and I share those concerns.
And it's no secret, data centers are expanding in our region. You have several people who support them. Then you have several people who are not in favor of them, very vocal against them. What is your stance?
Yeah, I don't think the AI data centers have any benefit for us. I think that targeting Black and brown communities is a form of environmental racism. I think that there's so little benefit and so much harm that can be done to a community. There's so many better ways that we could be spending our resources and utilizing the land that we have.
What are some immigration reforms that you would try to pass through?
Yeah, I think especially over the last year and a half, we've seen a real increase in ICE presence. And I think that ICE has no place not only in Prince George's County, but anywhere in this country. I think abolishing ICE would be a very, very top priority for me. And making sure that we build an immigration system that honors due process, that honors keeping families together, protecting children, and making sure that there is a humane pathway to citizenship.
And you are challenging an incumbent in his own district. Why do you think it's time for new leadership?
Yeah, like I said, I think that now is not the right moment for timid leadership. Now is the time where we need someone who's willing to really fight for us. And we haven't seen that. We've seen the concerns of constituents being ignored. I've talked to so many people across the district at this point, and people feel like they're not being heard, and they feel like there's no one fighting for them. And we can't afford that right now.
We want to thank you so much for your time, and best of luck to you in the race.
Thank you.
Make sure you tune into tomorrow's interview as we introduce another candidate, Ms. Siobhan Hedgepeth.
And don't go away just yet. It's almost time for our Monday sports page.
That's right, Simon. What you got for us today?
Don't go anywhere, sports fans, because coming right up, the UMD men's basketball team shakes up their roster. Find out who the newest member of the team is and who is moving on after the break.
Hi, I'm Chuck Hagel, former Secretary of Defense and Vietnam veteran. With wars around the world and divisions here at home, the world sometimes seems like a hopeless place. But this is not the first time for our country. Differences over the Vietnam War nearly tore our country apart. The Vietnam Veterans Memorial here in Washington, D.C. helped our country heal and come back together. More than 58,000 American service members died serving in Vietnam, and their names are inscribed on the memorial. We must never forget those who gave their lives for our country. Remember their sacrifice. Learn how our country came together after this divisive time in our history. Learn more at vvmf.org. Thank you.
I'll never forget the day I nearly died. I was a young journalist with a great career, starting a family. The only way we found out I had any kind of heart issue was when I went into sudden death. My coworkers sprung into action. They've recently been trained in life-saving CPR protocols developed by the American Heart Association. They're the ones that kept me alive until the medics came. They did many tests on me in the hospital after my cardiac arrest and created a treatment plan, all with research from the American Heart Association. I think unless you are a heart disease patient, you may not know how much work the American Heart Association does behind the scenes to save your life. Since my cardiac arrest, I've had 2 more children. I've watched all 3 of my children grow into adulthood. I'm gonna cry now. Graduate from college, my daughter got married. I have grandchildren, and I'm still here.
Learn more about the American Heart Association's work at helpheart.org.
Hey there, sports fans. Hope y'all enjoyed your weekend. Let's get right into your Monday sports page. Now, first up, a quick recap of some high school baseball and softball games from this past weekend. Ladies first, as Duval lost a close game to Laurel, 21-20. Flowers routed Northwestern, 29-5, and Bowie blew out Parkdale, 25-1. And moving on to the boys, the High Point Eagles soared past Eleanor Roosevelt, winning 10-8. Bowie won their game against Parkdale 13-3, and lastly, Wise took down Bladensburg 21-11. Meanwhile, some big changes are happening over in College Park as the Terps men's basketball squad has added transfer forward Tommy Slaboulian to the team. The Croatian comes to Maryland after spending one season at New Mexico, where he averaged 13 points and 10 boards as a freshman. He was the only player in the Mountain West Conference to average a double-double. And prior to playing at an American college, Boulian played in the Croatian Premier League, the country's top level of professional ball. Boulian is head coach Buzz Williams' first addition from the transfer portal. And while the team gains a player, they also lost one as well, as guard Isaiah Watts has entered the transfer portal. Watts came to Maryland after spending the last 2 seasons at Washington State. And in his lone season in College Park, Watts played only 17 minutes per game and averaged only 4 points. Watts joins other players in Alex Alston, Nick Blake, and Josiah Harper, who have entered the transfer portal as well. And sticking with basketball news, the day is finally here, WNBA fans. The draft is tonight. See where the best collegiate players in AZ Fudd, Lauren Best, and Olivia Miles will end up. The Washington Mystics will have a chance to grab one of the top-rated prospects as the team holds the number 4 pick, followed by the number 9 and 11 picks. The draft begins at 7 o'clock. And wrapping up sports, the Washington Wizards played their final game of the regular season yesterday in a 132-117 loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Washington failed to make the postseason yet again, recording just a 17-65 record. This is the 5th season in a row Washington has missed the playoffs. But with Anthony Davis and Trae Young playing next season, combined with the young core taking that next step, you have to think Washington will end their playoff drought, right? Well, I guess we'll find out in 2027. And that wraps up your Monday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thanks, Simon. We're now going to take a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight is going to be cloudy out with wind speeds around 7 miles per hour. Tomorrow, break out the tanks and flip-flops. It's going to be mostly sunny, and we're going to hit a high of 89 degrees. Wednesday will be even hotter when we hit a high of 93. Thursday will be partly sunny with a high of 91 and a low of 69. And Brandon, first of all, it's going to be hot. Second of all, it's going to be hot. And third of all, it's going to be
sweltering.
Yeah,
that's what I like to call it, sweltering. Finally, we can get some consistent weather instead of the bipolar mess that we're used to
exactly.
here in the DMV.
Yeah, exactly.
And for our community calendar, tomorrow night, the Bel Air Mansion is honoring the women who shaped the formation of Maryland with a lecture titled Wild Women of Maryland, Grit and Gumption in the Free State. Learn about Maryland's most tenacious and adventurous women, from Violet White, the first African-American appointed to the Baltimore Police Department, to historical figures like Harriet Tubman. This event takes place from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. For more information, contact the mansion at 301-809-3089.
And do you have a story to tell? You can reach out to our CTV News tip line.
That's right. Give us a call at 301-386-4085, or you can send us an email to ctvnews@pgctv.org. And as always, we look forward to hearing from you.
And that wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Have a great night.